You all still with me? First of all, thank you very much. I think this is now my fourth year of presenting at CyBEC, so I'm again grateful to the chairman and the team for allowing me to present again. And I have promised this year to keep this around about 15 minutes, as I know I'm the last one. So if we 10 minutes, okay, we better hurry up then. So yes, left or right? Okay. As Thomas said, I'm the Chief Product Officer at Omniconn, and what I want to give you now is our vision of the unity of safety. So this is primarily going to be how we deal with fire solutions within the UAE and indeed the wider world in the instance that we're talking about. So let's pose a question. Now, for those people that understand Hassantuk and how our present systems work, this is very poignant. But posing the question, when a fire breaks out in a school, public building, or hospital, how long does it take for our first responders to get real-time location data? And this is critical for us. Every second counts when you're talking about a fire, especially when it's in a public location. And in most countries, they don't. The first responders are not able to get the critical data that they need to let them tackle a fire on the way to the fire itself. So when we're talking about information from buildings, we would typically, with the likes of Hassantuk type solutions, get a singular alarm to say, this building has a fire alarm that's activated. But we don't know where that fire alarm is. We have no idea. So in a big campus environment like the last presentation, without granular detail of what is where, the first responders do not know where to go. And that is why at Omniconn we want to change that. We want to be able to give information to the first responders as they're turning up. So the first thing that we have to worry about, and again, this carries on from the previous presentation, is all of our systems are fragmented. They're siloed. We have a fire alarm system, we have dispatch systems, we have people in buildings, and we have the ability to pull in CCTV. There's four core pillars of how we can start looking at how a fire starts, how we dispatch, how we control our people, and then how we can monitor our people to make sure that they're doing what they should be doing and still understand where the fires are, where the smoke is, and what we need to deal with. This gives us an even bigger challenge, that the response becomes delayed. So we're not able to give those emergency responders the information that they need to actively target the fire when they first turn up. So we have a lack of detail. All these systems appear to be disparate in most buildings. So when we have no real visibility of what's occurring, we cannot put a safe, active plan together on how to tackle that fire when we get to site. So the problem isn't the technology. The technology is there. We have fire alarm systems. We have NFPA and unified code to guide us on how these independent solutions should work. So the actual technology is there. But the lack of connection is exactly what we're trying to solve. It's taking those disparate systems and allowing them to work together to achieve something better than we have. So the first thing we'll start with, this is our main dashboard that someone like a civil defense team would use. On here, we can monitor active fire alarms that we have at the moment, ones that are pending, ones that are open, ones that are dispatched. We also have information about the location of the fire trucks. And if we go into those fire trucks, we'll see the status of the fire trucks and where they're heading. Which ones are out of water, for example, which ones have water, which ones have foam. So it allows us a holistic overview of different areas on all of the technology, the units, the dispatch that is going to a specific fire. What we then need to understand is when you delve into the building, exactly what is wrong with that building. What is happening with that building? Where is the fire? So rather than having a singular point of information to say, my fire is in this building, I can now give you the exact location of that fire that is fed to the first responders. So in this instance, we have the fire alarms that have gone off, the different zones, but more importantly, the exact location associated to that zone and how that alarm is triggered. This will also allow us to see when we have multiple detectors going off in the same location. So we have relationships that work between those different detectors to, again, allow the first responders to understand the severity of the fire that we're dealing with. If it's one pull station, but no smoke alarms going off, we know it could potentially be a false alarm. If it's one smoke detector, but not receiving a double knock, again, we can tell you all that information now before the team gets to site. In fact, we can pretty much tell you that as soon as the alarm is raised, because it's our system that is raising the alarm. On top of that, the other side to it, which is what a lot of the technology companies struggle with at the moment, is how we deal with the health of a fire alarm panel. So yes, there are concepts where we have a fire, and indeed we have fire, we have false alarm, and we have testing. Now, how do you see from a holistic perspective the risk associated to a building, the risk associated to your fire alarm system? So in this instance, we have a customer here. The troubles and everything are not as per the customer, they're for illustration only. But we have on the left-hand side, what compliance to civil defense, and of course all the NFPA things, have we done in regards to inspection of this particular building? So are we, the maintainer, CIBCA in this case, are we on top of our preventative maintenance? Are we making sure that we are checking the batteries, the CPUs, the detectors, pull stations, in line with NFPA regulations? We then have average times for how long it takes them to respond. So again, the customer is starting to see how long it's taking people to respond to alarms within the building. And on the right-hand side, we have our trouble state over time. We can see what risk is associated to the building. Do I have lots of heads that have been removed? Do I have no answers from my detectors? Do I have pull stations that are not working? So all of this triaged information, or troubles, as we would refer to it, is now available to first responders to look at the health of a system before they turn up, so they know what they're going to get. And in the bottom right-hand corner, hopefully you can see that down there, we also have things like card status for different panels. So we know if we're dealing with a Siemens, a Simplex panel, Siemens panel, ATIS panel, whatever panel you're dealing with, we can see the status of that panel. Do we have any cards within that panel that have failed? Do we have any power supplies in that system that has failed? All this information is absolutely key for first responders when they turn up, to understand what they're going into. So then comes a big question. How do you use this information? How do you take these disparate systems and put them together? And that's where Omniconn steps in. So if you imagine your typical group of buildings, or your building, your campus, whatever it may be, the first thing that you're going to get is a fire detection. A fire has been detected. Now, what are you going to do with that information? Obviously, we're going to dispatch. We're going to look at the state of the building. We're going to ascertain now what detectors have been triggered. Then we're going to take a look at the occupancy status. Now, if you come to our booth, you'll see the sensors that we're using to ascertain how many people could be in that building. A challenge that we have in parts of Abu Dhabi and indeed parts of Dubai is overcrowding. In Dubai recently, they started to try and mitigate against that by locking down, or by stopping all these shared environments. So again, for us, a key factor of a risk associated to a building is how many people are within that building. How do we evacuate a building that's only meant for 800 people when there's 3,000 people staying there at 4 o'clock in the morning? In Abu Dhabi, again, we have a unique challenge with gas. A lot of the buildings in Abu Dhabi still use LPG gas cylinders. So you need to know where those LPG gas cylinders are before you send somebody in to take a look, in a house fire especially. So tracking on things like LPG cylinders, leak detection on those as well, so we can see the usage of those cylinders, how they're being used over time, is key for us to give information back to first responders, so the dangers that they could face when they turn up to a specific building. Then we also want to know, is our central battery system, is our emergency lighting system working? Are the batteries charged? Has it been able to turn on? And the same when it comes to HVAC and when it comes to water supply. There was a tragic incident in Dubai not long ago where even 2 weeks after inspection, where they had a full water tank, when it came to a real fire, they found out that the water tank had been depleted. Now, with the right sensors, again, if you go to Omniconn booth, we can show you these sensors in action, so you can see your water levels in real time. So we would have that information coming in for us. We have the ability to control the HVAC systems within the buildings as well. So you're not continuing to blow smoke around and siphon it around the building. We can control all of that fans. We can stop the smoke within specific rooms if we cut the airflow to these rooms, so we're not flaming the fire. We're not putting fans on the flame. There's a terminology for that. And of course, maintenance, access control, CCTV, security, energy, water, weather stations, and lighting control. These are all aspects which Omniconn is bringing in from independent buildings to allow us to understand how they're working and use those siloed technologies as one and give a view of that building from a single pane of glass. So this allows for three real verticals. We have the civil defense vertical, how we're physically going to protect the nation. That real-time information is going to help them with live dashboards. That nationwide live dashboard which allows them to know exactly what's going on, not just on a single point of being a fire, but also with the triage information of how the building is really running. We have the connected infrastructure projects, policies, insights, how we have specific buildings running. Do we know the energy these buildings are using? Do we know the LPG cylinders in these buildings? Do we know how these buildings are connected up and operating? And of course, there's a strategic impact, building that safer, smarter nation with all this information. So we have today with us, and I have permission to do this, we have the team from ICD Brookfield, where we're just finishing a project for them now. And I just wanted to share with you how siloed information can be turned into real data when it comes to helping a customer and then helping the civil defense teams. So ICD Brookfield, 53-story building, already certified, fantastic building, probably one of the prettiest in Dubai. If you've seen it, it really is very, very good. They have a unique challenge. They have a core fire alarm system, which is operated by them. They then have 100 independent tenants inside their building. And they have no visibility other than an input that triggers their system to say, I have a fire in my building. I am Apple and I have a fire in my building. Okay, well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you really have a fire? Has one detector gone off? Is it a heat detector? Is it a pull station? This information was not with them before. Now, with our solution, and I'll correct these numbers, we're actually monitoring 32,000 points now from one pane of glass. So that then allows us to build a complete 2D digital twin of every point within a building. That tells us the sensitivity level of every detector. It tells us what smoke or what dirty level we have for each of the detectors, which allows us to predict how those detectors are going to behave if things like humidity increases or additional dust is taken into consideration. And again, because we're monitoring every point in real time, we comply to NFPA 915, which means we can see exactly how every single point is running every second of the day if we need to. And this gives real-time notifications to all persona types. It doesn't just give information to the ICD Brookfield team. This can give information to their tenants, so the tenants know exactly how their system is running. So when the tenants log on, they will get to see just their tenant space. When, imagine the team log on, they get to see the entire solution, every trouble, every piece of information, every single detector which is disabled. Because previously, they wouldn't have known if someone had disabled detectors inside their tenant space. Now they have all of that information. So that then allows us to concentrate on another aspect, which is the insurance of the building. Previously, it's a risky building. Lots and lots of customers, very high profile building. Insurance premiums are going to be very high. Now, hopefully, if everything goes well, there's the luxury of that if they have full control of that building, full understanding of how that building is behaving, there's the potential that we can work with the insurance companies to bring down those insurance policies. So again, this is another key aspect that when you have the information coming in and you have visibility of everything, you're going to be in a far better position to tackle any issues that could happen on site. So some closing statements. Safety is no longer local, it's national, it's digital, and it is connected. Everything that we are wanting to put forward is a connected environment. It's no longer siloed. So our vision is to control the entire real situational awareness of the country on a country level. All of the impactful things from fire alarms, LPG cylinders, HVAC control within buildings, all of that can be visualized in one location with our solution. Thank you. Oh, and if anyone, I know people go, hurry up. If you do have any questions, I know we can't do Q&A now because there is no time, and I have kept within my time zone, thank you. Obviously, we're just on the Omniconn stand over there, so anything you need to ask us, my entire team is here, so please do come and ask. Thank you very much.